Hey guys, Chad Hoover, Kayak Bass Fishing, and today we're going to talk about a topic that's everywhere. Have fishing kayaks gotten too dang on expensive? All right, so this question is everywhere. It's on every Facebook group you go to. It's on every Instagram thread. When somebody posts a picture of their fully decked out kayak, it's actually in articles. Everybody is talking about the fact that kayaks have gotten too expensive. Here's the point that I want to make before we get into this. When I got into kayak fishing over 20 years ago, 22 years to be exact, the first kayak that I bought was $100, okay? I bought it used from a gentleman who used it to paddle out shark baits. The first retail kayak that I purchased was a little over $750. Fast forward 20 years later, and you can still buy premium fishing kayaks for under $1,000. 20 years, less than 250 or less than 25% increase in price. But here's the thing that I wanted to bring up. Competition and innovation breed a scenario where the consumer wins. So here's what I want to talk about. Expensive, right? The definition of expensive is crazy. Expensive means that something's overpriced. For the most part, when you start adding features like, hatches that open both directions, removable pods, super high-end seats, crazy nice traction pads, and all of those features, you're going to get into a scenario where you get what you pay for, but you pay for what you get. Now, do you have to have all of these features? Absolutely not. For years, I fished out of a kayak that didn't have a removable center console. For years, I fished out of kayaks that I had to, epoxy, or actually to Lexel or silicone the transducer inside the hull, or use an arm that goes over the side and things along those lines. So it's definitely doable to get away with it. But as we push the design envelope and as we try to make things better, the price is naturally going to go up. Adding tracks and nice pedal systems and high-low seats and adjustable functionality and features, removable skid plates, all of those things add price because there's the cost of tooling, there's the cost of the manufacturing of the components, there's the cost of R&D. So all of that drives prices up. But here's what happens. When you have a scenario where the upper end moves up and prices go up and the consumer population accepts those price increases, what ends up happening is you have to have a value proposition at the bottom end of the offering, and that's where capitalism kicks in, okay? So right now, 22 years after I got into my first set-on-top fishing kayak, there are now more kayaks under $750 than there were when I got into the sport. So every time I see the comment, fishing kayaks have just gotten too dang expensive, you might as well buy a bass boat. Okay, so because something's $3,000, you might as well spend $30 or $12 or even $6. That's ludicrous. And I see that comment all the time, and it's silly. But I also want to point out that the thing that most people don't think about is the increase in price, the increase in the advancements of fishing kayaks also leads to more premium features being available at the entry level, because competition breeds competition, and competition breeds competition. And when innovation kicks in and competition kicks in, we as the consumer always win, always. And so the scenario here is that now multiple companies are always trying to one-up each other. But what's happening now is the trickle-down effect is happening. Now, more and more premium features are coming on price point boats. More and more premium functionality and performance and durability, reliability are coming in price point boats. But not only that, it's also created an ultra low end, right? There was no ultra low end when I got into kayak fishing, even on the recreational side. And now there are super cheap kayaks that you can buy at big box stores, at Walmart. You can even buy them at Ace Hardware and Tractor Supply Company from time to time. So when I see the comments about kayak fishing has gotten too expensive, I think it's ludicrous, because there's more cheap kayaks now, or more inexpensive kayaks, than there ever have been. And if you look at the features that come on the mid-tier boats, it's actually better than it was 5, 6, 7, 8, even 10 years ago. And so to me, I wanted to address this topic. I wanted to weigh in on it, because I do believe that as things advance and it makes our life easier, and boats come with tracks and adjustable seats and hatches that open both directions and removable consoles and motor mounts and power pole mounts and all of those things, it does price out some consumers. But what it does is it creates a competitive environment where that consumer who is budget minded, who has restrictions on what they can purchase, still benefits. And that's the part that nobody thinks about, and that's the part that nobody talks about, and it's the part that I wanted to make sure that we covered. right now, there are more price point kayaks than they've ever been in history, and I'm excited about the future, and I thoroughly believe that this trend is going to continue. We're going to get more and more expensive kayaks. Kayaks are going to have better features, and as those more and more expensive features and advancements come out into the higher end kayaks, more of these premium features work their way down into the mid-tier and the lower tier and the entry level, or what we like to call gateway products in the industry. So listen, I understand that some things are out of some people's budgets. The same thing happens in the automotive industry. I'm not driving a Tesla, but I think what Teslas do for the industry are needed. I'm not driving a BMW, but I think what they do are needed. I think that all of these advancements that happen to consumer products creates, technological breakthroughs, research and development, accomplishments that ends up permeating the market, and we all win. So when you start thinking about whether something's too expensive or not expensive enough, you have to look at the big picture. And the big picture is, it's a great time to be an angler. It's a great time to be a kayak fisherman. It's a great time to be a consumer in the ultra competitive space of producing rotomolded fishing kayaks. It's a great time to be out there in the middle of the pedal versus paddle versus power drive, because right now we are sitting on the cusp of what is going to be one of the biggest things that has ever happened in the sport of fishing. I'm excited to be part of helping it happen, but I'm also excited to be one of the people that benefits from it happening, because after all, that's why I got into this in the first place. I'm Chad Hoover from Kayak Bass Fishing, but first and foremost, I'm a kayak angler, and I can tell you, I'm more excited about where we're headed and where we are than where we came from, and I don't think that we've priced anybody out. I don't think that we've created a scenario where it's unrealistic to get into the sport. It's actually the other way around. I think now there's more opportunity than there's ever been. Do me a favor. If you agree, smash that thumbs up button. If you don't, leave a comment in the comment section below. Actually, either way, if you do or you don't, leave me a comment in the comment section below and tell me what you think. Weigh in with your thoughts on the trend of what's happening in kayak fishing. You know what? This trend crosses over into rods, it crosses over into paddles, into reels, into clothing, into electronics, into everything else. So do me a favor, you guys comment below with your thoughts, and maybe I'll grab some of your comments and feature them in a future video. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions and what you think about the future and where we're headed in this awesome thing we call kayak fishing.